shots, features to shock, and characters an amateur would never dream of. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction.
Some of them fall, for good or bad, I know them all.
Welcome everybody back to the EdgeStream. It's great to be back here with all of you. It's been a while, but we're back. We are so back. And we have a great show for you tonight. A lot of things have obviously happened since I've last streamed. I hope you all had a great Dominion Day. Yes, that's right, Dominion Day. We don't go by the new rules that Canada has set for us. The new flag, the new anthem, none of that. We go by Dominion Day. But I had a great time this last weekend, and the last weekend before that, and the last few months as well, constructing this documentary, Diagolon, the Road Rage Terror Tour movie. I hope a lot of you have enjoyed that by now. It's been out for about a week now at this point. So if you guys haven't watched that, please go do watch that as soon as you get a chance. You could buy it at thegrift.shop. Well, rent it for 48 hours. I know that sounds kind of grifty, I know, but it did take me, and I quote, over 400 hours to edit that whole movie. So it did cost a lot in terms of production-wise, but I think it's well worth it. And there'll be new re-releases anyways into the future, so you can own a copy into the future. I'm hoping that we can make VHS copies of this movie. Well, just because we could give it that VHS retro feel that the trailer had. But either way, I hope you guys all enjoyed that. I put my heart and soul into it. And I guess it's just great to be back here with all of you. It's good to see a lot of people supporting in the different chats that we have going on here. YouTube, Rumble, and Entropy. See Justin D, Rhea Hayes, Anthony Warner in the chat. Lee Stewie calling me out on my latent gayness as usual. Nick Larche talking about Clyde Do Something, who was at the event in which me, Greg, and Lee stormed on Sunday evening. We'll be definitely getting into that tonight, and I do have some exclusive footage of what happened on that day. Very interesting. Liquid Zoo, Trent Dabbs, Andrew Simpson, Jason, Warren G, Pointfire, Doings. There's too many people to mention. There's a lot of great people in the YouTube chat. Over on Entropy, we have Alberta Girl, Diagoyam, Dr. Genstein, everybody throwing up slashes, Doings, Miss Speaker. A lot of friendly faces here tonight. Keep your head on a swivel. And we're also live on Rumble. And I'm seeing a lot of overlap with the same people on each platform. We have some super fans here. Drogrest, asking me if I'm gay and lay. Boiling Frog, Koala Mama. Boiling Frog says, waited for months. Hurry, hurry, hurry. It better be good, you little shit. Well, I don't know if that's talking about the movie, because that's out now, and you can enjoy that. But, yeah, this EdgeStream, I don't know, it'll probably be pretty good. Tarpsoff89 sent a super chat. Appreciate that, man. He said, let's get this party started. Get a big tub of custard ready, because I have a special VHS with your name on it, little buddy. Okay, so you actually did go and make a VHS out of the movie like I jokingly asked you to while I was drunk. Well, that's fucking amazing. I really hope you do that. And then we could potentially sell a whole bunch of VHSs. I don't know if this is a viable grift, but I'm down for any kind of grift that sounds fucking cool as something like that. So, but yeah, I guess I'm riding high off of the last few weeks, the release of the movie. I gotta go on a nice vacation to BC. I don't want to say too much about it, but I could show you maybe a little glimpse of the kind of things that we got up to. Yeah, I don't really know how to explain this. You kind of had to be there to experience it. But, yeah. Me and Lee ended up going on a nice vacation to BC, basically. And it was all with the help of some very special people, including, I guess, an angel investor. I don't know if you could really consider him an angel. Maybe more like the angel of death or the angel of rape. But no, he's a great guy. I finally met somebody who enjoys rape jokes more than I do. And me being Edgy D, that is actually a huge accomplishment. So, I don't know, it was a fantastic time. I met some great people in BC. And, yeah, these are the kind of things we get up to in this community. A fallen angel? Yeah, maybe. The god of forced prostitution. Yeah, that sounds like Lucifer to me. I see this weird shit going on YouTube where everybody has crowns now and they're all numbered 1, 2, 3 based on how many people can spam the YouTube chat. I like that. Now we're gonna get a lot more. Engagement in the YouTube chat, and a lot more spurgatory. So that sounds like a lot of fun. Warren G says, "Where the hell were you?" Lee says, "Editing an entire movie, lol." Well, yeah, pretty much. Also doing other things, a lot of other things behind the scenes and just for my own life, but. Lee says, "The god of forced prostitution? Isn't that P. Diddy?" No, apparently not, because I guess he got off on almost everything, and there was a bunch of hoochie hoes dousing themselves in baby oil outside of his courthouse as he got off on almost every capital charge that he got. I think he got charged with got convicted of some very minor things like transporting a prostitute. Considering what he actually did, that's absolutely fucking crazy, and just goes to show that you could get out of any trouble if you have money. Yet, if you're a white nationalist, then they'll throw the book at you and try to suffocate you in every way they possibly can. Just look at all the people who were subjected to criminal and civil lawsuits all throughout Charlottesville. And even in Canada, people like Jeremy Mackenzie. Oh, now we have people making some special towers in the YouTube chat. Well, I hope you guys can get yourself to number 1 with a crown over there. And there's another tower in the Rumble chat. I think entropy is slacking right now. I don't see any over there. Dr. Jensine says, "You are a bad influence." Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know how many psychedelics you've taken tonight in order to think that is relevant in any way possible. Maybe you should lay off on the DMT. That's all I'm going to say about that. Or maybe you should hit it harder and try to get that breakthrough that you really need to get your life together there, brother. Anyways, we have a great show tonight. I don't want to get too much into personal life details over here. Maybe we'll just play the Road Rage Terror Tour trailer, just in case none of you are convinced enough to spend the goddamn $14.89 to rent the movie for 48 hours. I know, it sounds Jewy. We're going back to Blockbuster days, where literally you have to rush to the store to even possibly get a copy of the movie before it's all sold out from being even able to be rented for a couple days at a time. But no, this is the kind of pressure, the kind of hype that we're putting upon this movie. And if you don't like it, I don't know, buy one of the 5 or 6 or 7 grift re-releases that we make in the future. We'll probably add a whole bunch of other content into it too. You know, they'll keep whipping me and working me like a slave, like I'm a Chinese sweatshop, edgy Aryan boy, and we'll get these things done, okay? But anyways, here's the movie. Trailer. By the actual movie. And then we'll get into all the topics we have for tonight.
Attention! The Diagolon Road Rage Terror Tour movie will soon be... Attention! The Diagolon Road Rage Terror Tour movie will soon be available for your own sick viewing pleasure.
Diagolon stands against everything we stand for as Canadians. That is one far-right scary group.
The Road Rage Terror Tour.
I can't believe it! Join the crew as they travel across the country spewing vile, neo-nasty rhetoric disguised as comedy.
Don't fall into the trap of saying this is humor.
Racism!
8 shows, dozens of meet and greets, and many wacky adventures along the way.
Do you even know where this is going?
Everywhere he goes, there's trouble.
I just saw you were brown and I just couldn't help myself.
You guys are contributing to my sentence.
Mayhem.
Millions will die.
Kiss my ass!
Hail Napoleon!
Debauchery.
There's been so much on his glasses.
You're gay! Black magic. Antifa goblins.
Can you tell me what Diagolon means to you?
Please leave right now.
Incest.
I fucked my own mother. I have sex with my 72-year-old mother. Incest.
And plenty of N-bombs.
Nationalism. Fucking kick that right now.
Things are about to get pretty edgy here tonight.
Oh, you guys are in trouble.
We're gonna bring it home. This is my house. We're gonna build our own communities.
If you want to take it from me, try, motherfucker!
We don't fucking give a shit anymore. We're coming back.
That group is not welcome here.
They're very violent and extreme.
I need blood now.
I love it.
Road Rage Terror Tour is the best thing that ever happened.
That's the Canadian people! That's what it means!
Coming soon to the Grift Shop, this carefully curated extravaganza of over 2 hours of delightful bigotry can be witnessed for only one easy payment of $14.89.
Simple!
$14.89. I feel like one of those numbers is off. I'm not sure which one though. Anyway, that's the price of entry. Come relive the magic of the first Diagolon Road Rage Terror Tour, or experience it for the first time.
I can't do it!
Available soon exclusively on the Grift.shop.
Grift Clark!
The best shop, everybody says so. It's the best shop anyone's ever seen. Nobody's seen a shop quite like that.
What do you think of all this?
Yeah, so there it is. A lot of concerted efforts over the course of a year right there. And I think it's well worth the price of entry. You guys should check it out if you haven't yet. I will say one thing about it. I don't think I've ever seen in the history of the Western world, or even the world. I don't know what goes on outside the Western world. But I don't think I've ever seen or heard of a comedy tour combined with nationalism that went all across a country and defied all odds and then made a whole ass documentary about it. I don't think that's ever been done. I think that's the kind of creativity that we need inserted into these spaces here. This is the kind of fun that we need to be able to have as a community in order for these things to thrive, in order for these things to be appealing for other new people who are on the edge, who know that there's something wrong with what's going on in society, and for them to step over the line and come over to us, because we present a more appealing lifestyle that they can get into. You know, politics has this aura about it of being like boring and stuffy and, you know, oh, how do we get this MP elected? How do we get the civic engagement up? Make sure you go out and vote. You know, we need to talk to the donors. We need to have a donors luncheon, and we need to rub elbows up. No, that doesn't sound like fun to any young people who have revolutionary ideas and who actually really care about what's going on in society. And if they get wrapped up into like the whole political, the whole mainstream political way of doing things, they're going to get easily demoralized and think that it's a waste of time. And we need to get these people before they get there, or after they get there, because then they may be even more radicalized. That's a story that's as old as time at this point. But either way, you want to be able to say nobody is having more fun than we are, even if we're struggling, even if we are giving it our all. At least we're doing it because we love it and there's a purpose to it. And that's maybe a huge takeaway that I could see out of this documentary, out of the collective efforts of so many people that made this happen. And there's a lot of other people doing great things for nationalism worldwide as well. I'd say that here in Canada, we've really done a number when it comes to the mix between comedy and political activism for nationalism. I know that Patriot Front has been doing some great demos all across America. They have numbers that are higher than any nationalism group in any other Western country, but that's obviously because they're in America as well, so they have the greatest landmass and population. But nevertheless, they're doing a great job. Like, there's never a month that goes by where there's not another fantastic Patriot Front demonstration that has improved from the last one in size, in scale, in professionality, in rhetoric, in aesthetics. They're always improving upon the last demonstrations, the last public appearances that they have done. And I think a huge part of that is just the way the leadership conducts itself and is able to integrate all these smaller elements. But either way, for nationalist groups in each different Western country, you could say some very good things about what they're doing and look to the positives, and also look at the negatives and to see what is not working. There's another rising nationalist movement that's going on. It's called Remigration. Now, this is a term that, every nationalist embodies, whether it's in Canada with Diagolon, popularizing terms like, they have to go back, they have to go back. That is essentially remigration. But to further expand upon what I'm talking about, remigration is a concept that is largely popularized by all these different European countries that have come together in a coalition in order to promote this idea of remigration as a sensible way to stop immigration completely and then start sending people back who shouldn't be here in the most logical way possible, that we could actually get it done with a bunch of steps into this plan being executed one by one, going to the end of this proposed plan. And that is something that we need in this sphere, is practicality. How do we get it done? One step at a time. What is the plan for each step? Like, what is the end goal, and how do we get there with each step? And apparently there was a Remigration Summit conference back in March this year where a lot of these organizations met together. I believe it was in Italy. So I'm going to pull that up right now and just give people a little sample of one of the many things that you can get behind if you're in this nationalist sphere. Because some people, they don't like to get involved as much with like the comedy element, or maybe they don't want to get involved with the active club element where people are punching each other in the face. Okay, that's fine. I would still say there's room for everybody in each of these spheres, but there's also the element where it's a professional organization, whether it's a non-profit or a charity or some other kind of organization. We need to just start creating as many organizations as we can if we are going to win this struggle. So I'm just going to briefly go over what this is. This is an article by American Renaissance, who's headed by Jared Taylor, one of the premier pro-white, white nationalist activists in the United States. The name precedes itself. If you know, you know. If you don't know who he is, you should go look him up and be familiar with American Renaissance and all their content. But this is just kind of like a summary, a recap of what happened at this Italian conference, at this conference about remigration in Italy. All these different speakers came and spoke. Not really going to get into who was there and who wasn't. But the main point is that you got to meet society somewhere in the middle too. Because there were a lot of detractors for this event saying that, oh, these guys aren't going hard enough. Anything short of XYZ is not enough. Not enough at this point. Well, these people are trying to make headway into the mainstream and make these remigration dreams a reality. So sometimes you do have to give a lot of leeway, yet you still can't compromise on your core values. That's another thing. So I think organizations like this are trying to keep that balance where it's just like, how do you conduct yourself within professional society, a professional society that has already been constructed and already has these very stringent rules on what you can and can't say, and an Overton window that is very narrow. Yet they're still trying to figure out a way to operate within and outside of it. And we need to understand all these parallel strategies and support them whenever we can, as long as they don't compromise in ways that will like destroy what we're actually trying to do here, which at the end of the day is remigration. So I'll be supporting these kinds of initiatives unless I see any other reason why I shouldn't. But I'm just giving you guys a taste of what's going on out there. Another group that's doing a great job lately is, of course, the National Socialist Network in Australia. And it'll take me too long to go over all the crazy things that they've done in the last year or two. I've gone over them on my streams early last year, especially when Australia Day was being cancelled over there in Australia. And they called it Invasion Day. They called it many other derogatory names. But basically, anybody celebrating Australia Day too close to where all the Invasion Day celebrators, if you want to call them that, they were getting accosted by police or arrested. And then especially activists like the NSN, they were getting arrested, followed by police with literally helicopters, millions of dollars of taxpayers' money in order to persecute them just for trying to do demonstrations on Australia Day in order to celebrate Australia Day. And then earlier this year, when they did the same thing, dozens of them got arrested for things like loitering or wearing a disguise in public. And one guy even wasn't released for months until and put into solitary confinement. His name was Stephen Wells, and then finally they let him out with no charges. And I want to show you a clip from the documentary that these brilliant NSN guys made. At the very end of this documentary, it shows the police who confiscated all their equipment, and they've confiscated their equipment many times because they just keep raiding these guys for almost no reason. But they confiscated Thomas Sowell's equipment, and the microphones were still active when they confiscated them. And these police were openly talking about how they just want to kill these guys. They just want to kill them. Why can't we just open fire on them? So this was released within the documentary. It was at the very end of the documentary. And then suddenly, like a day or two after the release of this documentary, all the charges were dropped from these guys, including Stephen Wells, who was in prison in solitary confinement, refused bail, just released without any charges. So I'll show you guys that little clip right now.
They are arresting me because I'm celebrating Australia Day.
Sid, face the van.
This fucking 140's not working. That was weak as piss. They are pathetic. Are you rolling? No, okay, good. Off a steer wheel or engage. No? I'm happy to show you. Happy to, I'm happy to show you. I'm gonna say, I'll be honest with you. I'm really these guys just need to be shit.
I mean, how many times do they need to say it before you believe them? It's fucking crazy. Like, why do you care that much to say that people peacefully protesting in a way that you don't like, that they need to be shot? And you're the force of the government that has the power to kill people. That is fucking crazy. And I love that power move there, especially when it I don't know if cause is correlation or however you say that, but the guy got released. All these guys' charges got dropped for this particular demonstration on Australia Day, because why would the police want to have to answer for that? Police don't want to answer for anything, any of their misconduct ever, really. That was well played, though. It looks like we have some other super chats on Entropy. We have Diagoyam saying, "Thanks for all your hard work, man. Most people have no idea just how much excruciating time and effort it takes to edit video." Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. It really does take a lot of effort, and it's not something that I could have done if I hadn't had many, many, many years of experience before this. Trying to take on projects that were above what one man could or should be doing. And there's many steps to the process, like getting a fucking hard drive full of footage, 3 or 4 terabytes full of it, and just thinking, what the hell do I do with this? Where is the story here? I gotta watch everything and then figure out how to construct a narrative, or how to figure out how to make everybody shine as much as possible. You know. But I have to say, with the content that was given to me from these guys on this cross-country tour, I just knew that the possibilities were endless. As soon as I started watching it, I was like, this is incredible. I can't wait to see what I can make out of this. Oh, and Jenstein says, exactly, Diagoyam. I meant Edgy's editing is tight, of course. Well, thank you, man. Yeah, you also said Edgy is tight. Sorry, I missed that. Edgy is tight can mean a lot of things when it comes to the Dark Dr. Jenstein over there. I don't even really want to elaborate on what I thought. Sorry, I can't think anymore. Stop it! Okay, sorry. Let me collect myself. He meant that Edgy is tight at editing, and yes, I have worked long and hard to be able to edit like this. So, thank you guys. I appreciate it very much. Well, there's one more thing that I want to address before I get into the whole foreign interference conference that I attended on the weekend with a few good friends of mine, and that is the Second Sons has been doing a fantastic job here in Canada. So I just wanted to highlight that, and I wanted to give a recommendation that if anybody is of any male age above 18 and they want to do their part to serve the Canadian nationalist mission, then they should apply to Second Sons. And that's about it, you know. I'm sure there's other good groups out there, but I think Second Sons beats them all out of the water when it comes to professionality, like the amount of training that they're doing, the propaganda that they put out there. Yeah, I would say apply to Second Sons. And I'll just play you a video that was released by Second Sons, and you can make your own decision if this is the kind of organization that you want to join. I'm sure many of you have seen this at this point, but if you haven't, here it is again.
A nation is a people, an intergenerational community forged through blood and soil, with a ferocious love that defends its own, no matter the cost.
As a veteran myself, being here in front of this war memorial, I cannot imagine that those brave young men and women died hoping that their home would turn into this. Millions of people are being piled into this country every year. Canadian citizens all across the country living under bridges and buildings on the sides of the road in tent encampments.
The people of our nation have become separated from any greater purpose.
Love has no equal than this, a man who would lay down his life for his friends. That's the highest expression of love that there is.
We are putting out the call for real Canadian men to create a brotherhood, to strengthen each other, protect our families, and preserve our identity.
It's you, it's all of us, the people of the country. That's the Canadian people. That's what it means.
This is our home, these are our people, and this is our future to decide.
So roll your masters, you never can tell. The ocean, a tempest all around a stormy hell. So roll in a hollow till bloody on the hand. On the sea, she will bless us. We'll never see the land. On the sea, she will bless
Yeah, so that's my recommendation. If you look at the quality of how those guys look there, the aesthetic, you know, the amount of training it seems like these guys do, I would want to join myself. What do you guys think? Somebody's asking in the chat, The Real Mackenzies, what's the name of the song? The name of the song, I looked it up myself. It's called The Tempest. And I think it goes very well with all the visuals in that song, or all the visuals in that video. But the Real Mackenzies are a great band for this kind of propaganda. Just a great band in general. Like that whole Celtic punk genre is really good for this kind of thing. Oh, fuck. We're on Entropy. Thank you, Al Stern. He sends a nice super chat and says, "For all your hard work, buddy. We love you, buddy. It's good to see you back in the saddle." Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. All right, enough jerking each other off here. Let's get into the Foreign Interference Conference that I attended on the weekend with a few good friends of mine, Greg Wycliffe and Lee Stewie, of course. I don't know how to get into this. Maybe I should start off with a rundown of what this event was about, because some of you might not know what we're talking about, but we were going off about it on Twitter. Basically, there was this Foreign Interference United Against Extremism conference that was going on Sunday in Woodbridge, Ontario. So that's like near Toronto, or like in the GTA, basically. And at this conference, you had a bunch of fake conservative Indians aligning with some fake conservative Jews and Israelis in order to tell us all what extremism is and what foreign interference is. And they hired or invited to speak some conservative influencers in order to bolster their credibility as like being pro-Canadian, as being Canadian conservatives. And this is the kind of thing that these foreign lobbies do generally. They try to cloak themselves in patriotism. They do it all the time in every Western nation, and this is how basically they're doing it over here. But anyways, a lot of people online did not like it, and they spoke out against it. So the amount of social media clout these guys were getting on their own was abysmal. It was very small, very low. And the people who were countering them, who were calling them out, basically us and a few other Canadian content creators, they were absolutely ratioing them, even before the event even started. But nobody actually showed up to it, except for us, in order to confront them and to challenge them on their views. So that's kind of the context of what's going on here. I'll show you a bit later what we actually did when we were there, how that went down. But first, I'm going to show you a couple videos explaining what was actually going on, like the pretext to this conference. So I'm just going to play the first part of this video here of Greg explaining a bit about the conference.
Just in the airport, just got through security, and speaking of security, there was a national security conference happening in Toronto tomorrow that's United Against Extremism. Okay. Bringing together Canada's top voices from multiple fields to decipher the threats posed by hostile, foreign, and ideological movements and how they fuel domestic extremism. Now, my big problem is with these sponsors here. Canada India Foundation and TAFSIC. And just take a quick look at the sponsor's website. Canada India Foundation continuously works in building public opinion to ensure speedier integration of newcomers into Canadian mainstream so that immigrants can contribute to the fabric of Canada, blah, blah, blah. So these guys are all about prioritizing immigration from India into Canada. And then on the TAFSIC website, it says it wants to report hateful incidents, posts, and people on our website, identify with facial recognition, and track people's posts and gauge radicalization. It also mentions fighting online Jew hatred with a revolutionary online solution. So what exactly does integrating Indian immigrants and silencing anti-Semitism and reporting it with facial recognition online have to do with Canadian security?
And there we have it. Summarizes it perfectly. I think the main thing about the Indian lobby, other than the fact that they're Indians and they shouldn't be here, let's not forget that to begin with, but their lobby is trying to get as many Indians as they can over here, despite any of their actual qualifications. And somebody posted here. Right here, I want to show this. He explained it well. He said the Canadian India Foundation's stated goal is to basically do to Canada what just happened to Australia. Canadian recognition of shitty Indian credentials to basically just allow them to move here by the millions. Extremely subversive and dangerous group. And I wouldn't be surprised if that is 100% true, because no, sir, my diploma just as good as yours, sir. Yes, I got it from the Indian school of shitting in the street. Real good. Like, no. We do not need any of these people over here. And we got to put an end to it. But obviously, Canada India Foundation, you know that it's not good, right? On its face, it's not good. And you know once they speak that they're not Canadian. You know that they're just trying to convince you in broken English, like they're trying to haggle on the streets of India to make you pay more, and you're some kind of tourist that they're trying to manipulate. No, you know that it's not true. You know that you don't want them here. But then he goes on to mention in this video, Greg mentions how TAFSIC, they're much more coherent on what they want, and it's to end Jew hate. To report anti-Semites, and even use facial recognition, as it shows over here. So let me just read that out for you again. Report hateful incidents, posts, and people on our website. Identify with facial recognition technology. Track people's posts, engage radicalization. So like I was saying, Jews can actually speak English, and they could actually convince and manipulate all the goyim in their host countries to agree with them and to think that they're actually on their side. Indians, with their broken English and their often outwardly repulsive behavior, you can easily just be put off by them. And they're not very high IQ. They're pretty low IQ, so they're not good at trying to trick people with more high verbal IQ manipulation. But definitely Jews and Israelis are good at this kind of thing. In fact, Israelis have some of the biggest databases of surveillance and information that they've gathered from different Western countries or people all around the world in their cloud databases online in Israel. And yes, they are tracking you, they're creating profiles, all these different things. So this is just another group that wants to do that kind of thing. It's completely counter to free speech, especially when free speech means criticizing these people for how they operate in our countries. So that's one perspective of it. Another guy who had a great take on it was Daniel Tyree, the former executive director of the PPC. I don't know if he quit or if they kicked him out, but it seems to me like either way that happened, him leaving the PPC was probably because he's too based and he's too logical, practical, and actually effective to be in the PPC. You know, he can't have that PPC dead weight on him, so I understand why he went solo. But him talking about the conference here, he says the reason why people are so offended by this event isn't because it's because of what they advocate for. It's because they cloak their foreign ethnic grievances as a Canadian issue. And yeah, that's true. If it was the oogly mooglies for the oogly boogly society here in Canada, I'd be like, okay, you could try if you want, but whatever. If it gets too egregious, maybe we'll zone our sights in on you. But it's this manipulation, this thing where they're trying to step into our spaces and they're trying to manipulate and co-opt conservatism as a whole. Now you're stepping into our territory and you're going to get absolutely ratioed. You're going to get destroyed. And it takes some people like Mealy and Gray actually going there to take it to its final stage where they actually get confronted in real life and think twice before putting on something like this. But he goes on to say the only relevant Canadian issue here is mass immigration. And the solution is simple, remigration. So let's hear him out.
Canadian politics is such a mess. Today, Woodbridge, Ontario will play host to the United Against Extremism National Security Conference. This event went viral on X this week after a number of independent pundits announced that they would be speaking. Folks like Jasmine Lane, Wyatt Claypool, Daniel Boardman, and Clyde Nichols. On the surface, this event sounds all well and good. National security, foreign interference, and ethnic extremism have been important issues in Canada over recent years. But the more you look into things, it becomes more and more obvious how subversive this event is. The conference is being organized by two ethnic advocacy groups, Canada India Foundation and TAFSIC, a Jewish advocacy group. And taking a look at the schedule, it becomes clear that the purpose of this conference is not to promote the best interests of Canadians, rather it's to expose and demand the persecution of ethnic rivals of the organizing groups. The focus is entirely on Khalistanis, the rivals of the Hindus, and Islamists or Hamas supporters, the rivals of the Jews. My point is not to defend the Khalistanis or the Islamists, but to point out the deceitful nature of this event. Some of the speakers have been
they all suck
themselves after a backlash from the Nationalists, along the lines of, "You guys are so stupid. Did you even read what the event was about? We actually want less immigration." But this response entirely misses the point. The issue with the conference is not necessarily the opinions they espouse. It's that it's just a new form of foreign ethnic conflicts happening in Canada. True Canadian nationalists believe that Canadian politics should be purely about the best interests of the Canadian people, not foreign ethnic conflicts. Hot take, I know. And the solution is not to pick one side or another of these tribal conflicts. We must reject this framing entirely and embrace what is best for the Canadian people. The solution is simple. The solution is remigration. This should be a wake-up call for all true Canadian nationalists. A reminder that every foreign ethnic group is organized and their interests defended by professional organizations. It's time for Heritage Canadians to get organized and take our country back. If you agree, make sure you're following this account for important updates.
Did you guys hear that? Remigration? I like the way that this guy is talking. And yeah, I do think we need to make our own organizations that benefit our own people here. Now, they invited a bunch of, conservative influencer type people to speak at this event. One of them, of course, was Clyde Do Something, and he's been taking a lot of shit online. Some of his rebuttals about his involvement in this event were that we're a bunch of inbreds, or other great hits, such as Greg Wycliffe, who opposes this event, is Rachel Gilmore. It's not bad. It's a pretty good it's a pretty good chirp if you're a fucking retard and believe the worldview that he does. So I'm glad that he got a nice verbal kill shot in there. I don't think it's going to hold up because he just looks and sounds like a retard while he's coping about all of this stuff. Wyatt Claypool was also there and he spoke at it. He was actually one of the only people who came outside and had the balls to confront us or talk to us and get filmed in an interview, specifically going back and forth with Greg Wycliffe. So that should be really funny if he wants to release that. If Greg wants to make a video out of that, I will leave it up to him. I have some of the footage myself, but I'll leave that up to him. But that was really interesting. Hey, despite the fact that he was twitching in anxiety while he was facing off with Greg, and he was going off on all these irrelevant tangents that he was getting exposed for, just using a whole bunch of semantics and, just really bad debate tactics to try and get gotchas on Greg, and when it didn't work, he'd start twitching in anxiety. Well, at least he came out and confronted us. I'll give him that, so I'm not gonna shit on him anymore right now. Daniel Boardman never came out either, and he is one of the biggest Zionist, Jewish, supposed conservative influencers here in Canada, but he didn't come out to talk to anybody. And I can imagine why these guys didn't want to come out to face us. After we got denied entry into the event, by the way. Sorry, there's a lot of things going on here right now, and to explain it all in one go is kind of difficult, but we did get denied entry from the event, and we will soon see that context in a second. But we're just going on all the play-by-play of what happened before we actually made it to the event. So here's Lee ratioing them online before the event even happened. So whoever runs the TAFSIC organization's Twitter account, they're just like a really horrible memer. And it's kind of like that whole meme, the left can't meme. Also, Jews can't meme. When they're so into their whole Zionist and Jewish supremacy, they really don't understand normal social conventions, or even the fact that they're pretending to be conservative here, yet they're shitting on Canadians and basically telling us that, I guess, natives, indigenous, have all the right to Canada, which is a total leftist talking point here. As you could see, on the left, you have all the non-Canadian copers saying, "This paper says I'm just as Canadian as you, sir." And then the Chad Canadian, "No, go home." And he put in the Indian, the native Indian, "No, you go home." And there it is. And there it is. That's what they really think of the situation. They don't see Europeans as having any rights to this as their homeland, even though we have nowhere to go, right? And it was really funny because when we were interviewing this other guy that we'll see later, the director of TAFSIC, who actually came out and interviewed us, he was saying, he was asked if he was more loyal to Canada or to Israel, and he said Canada. But seeing as the way things are going, I'm thinking of going back to Israel now. And I found it hilarious because, he says that, I'm definitely more loyal to Canada, but everybody's being so anti-Semitic to me that I might just go back to Israel. Well, we don't have that luxury, do we? We just have to deal with the mess that your people have made in the Middle East, bombing everything to shit, and then redirecting all the migrants to come over here. And meanwhile, denying and gaslighting that you're actually doing that, or that your extended Jewish groups that you defend by saying that, oh, you can't criticize Jewish groups because that's anti-Semitic. Yet that is exactly 100% what is going on. But that's a blood libel. Oh no, no. Anyways, their true colors came out right there. Lee mogged them again over here. It's just a meme. It's just a really funny meme. I saw her working on it, like typing this out, and then I just saw the cartoon character on her phone, and I just laughed. I was like, what are you doing? And then I read that. I read what she was typing in, and we both just laughed our asses off. Allow me to explain your country's national security risks and who you should perceive as a threat. Yeah, no thank you. Okay? Now I see another super chat on Entropy. Thank you so much. Angel of Rape, Dr. Genstein. He says, play Lanceman dancing. It really turns me on. Well, I actually have that loaded up right here. Because this was another hilarious ratio on social media. Before the event even happened, by the way. Like days before. She's exposing all the different Indian lobbyists that are attending this event. And over here she says, but wait, there's more. That's Canadian CPC politician and Jewish lobbyist Melissa Lanceman dancing with Salman Simima. Okay, Bratney underneath says, Salman is a Canadian patriot. Lee says, cute. You came to simp for your traitor friends. Yep. There's nothing more Canadian than this. Hey, buddy, this is very Canadian. When I think of Canada, this is the first thing that pops to my mind. I'm like, you know, even fuck Don Cherry, fuck hockey, fuck macaroni and cheese. It's a Jewish lesbian rooster dancing with a bunch of... This is what I think of. Wait, this turns you on, Genstein, you sick fuck? Oh my god. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I don't even want to pile on you anymore. That's... Imagine the smell, and that turns you on. That's something. But the funniest part was the response here. Is they think that this is a total gotcha. Like, oh, we got them here. They think that people dancing is something horrible. Like, we're the ones committing the terrorism. And then they equate it to Footloose. No, it's just really cringe. You're just compiling actual foreign interference between, like, 20, 30 Indians that are coming to an MP on behalf of the Indian lobby for Indian interests, and they're dancing to cringe, shitty Indian songs that... It's kind of weird that every Indian song is on like a fucking sitar or some weird like... Oh, yeah. It's like the music can't stop bobbing its head. Oh, yeah. Like, who the fuck makes music like that? Go to Beethoven or Mozart and it's just nice piano music. Like, there's never been any Indian composer that did anything that moved the realm of classical music forward. And then when they come onto the scene, it's all... Like, they have the eternal head bob shake going on, and it's affecting everything that they do, every instrument that they play. No, we're not a bunch of prudes over here, okay? This isn't Footloose. We're not that conservative that we're clamping down on you for that. It's because you people are extremely cringe and you make us want to vomit when everything that we see you do. It's just vomit fucking inducing. So yeah, you dancing with a cringe lesbian Jew is definitely noteworthy. And it's definitely something that we point and we laugh at you over. Okay? Oh, they're actually Iranian. Well, oh, sorry. Are they dancing with Iranians because Jews co-opted a bunch of Iranians in order to be on their side? Yeah, we'll get into that in a bit. Jeet Tovin 7 the shit. Keep your head on a swivel said Jeet Tovin's 7th shit the knee. I don't know if that's too big of a stretch to be funny, but I found it fucking hilarious. Well, let's see what they actually said to this. They said, wait a second. Salman Seema dance with Melissa Lanceman? Effective immediately. Tafsik has canceled Salman's speaking engagement at our United Against Terrorism conference. We will not tolerate any dancing. This includes, but is not limited to, break dancing, polka dancing, blah, 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 blah. Very funny. Okay, now their comedic talent is showing. Okay. Moving forward, any future participants in Tafsik events are hereby banned from singing, playing instruments. Okay, yeah. To all Canadians, we sincerely apologize for any hurt feelings we may have caused. Yeah, okay, yeah, very funny. Like we said, you guys are cringe, you suck, and you're all foreigners. Get the fuck out. That's the main point. We can dance all we want. When Jews dance, it's a lot more dangerous. Just think about the dancing Israelis who are dancing and celebrating and filming as the Twin Towers were falling. Oh, but no, that got scrubbed into the memory hole of history, right? All those videos got taken down off of all the Fox News, CNN archives, right? And the thing is, if you try to even confront them about anything like that, they just gaslight you and pretend like you don't even know what they're talking about. Half the time they don't even know because these people are ignorant as fuck. Anyways, thank you, Jenstein, because I did not have that loaded up until you super chat that. And I did know where that was, though, so I put it in the stream. Okay, I just got a funny meme that I'm gonna post here. Somebody just sent me this in a DM. This is a good counter meme to what they posted against Lee. So it says, this paper says I'm just as Canadian as you. This is no go home. And then on the right there's just a chug that says incoherent firewater noises. Yeah, that's basically how the founding of Canada happened. Was we came, we realized that there was nothing really going on here except for a bunch of tribes killing each other. We did some fur trading with them, and then yeah, they kind of didn't take to alcohol too well and they destroyed themselves. Now, I'm not going to lie, we probably gave them some of the poison. But it's been like 400, 500 years now. You'd think they'd be able to get their acts together. No. They just still love the firewater. It's just human biodiversity. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't teach it to drink. Anyways. Yeah, let's watch the confrontation at the front door where we got denied entry. So this was partly filmed by me. It says, here's the full clip of, this is Greg posting this, Greg Wycliffe. It says, here, let me just make sure this is shared here. There you go. Here's the full clip of me being refused entry yesterday at the National Security Conference. Ironically, I was treated as the hostile foreign threat for being a Canadian nationalist, skeptical of the orgs who threw the event, TAFSEC and Canada-India Foundation. Let's watch.
National Security Conference, and it says combating extremism.
But we're extremists, aren't we?
Well, that's a great point. That's a great point, actually.
Because we stand for Canada, we're fighting for our rights, and we're extremists.
That's right. I was at the trucker convoy, and I questioned.
I watched it.
I questioned the government, and I got called a terrorist. Right?
What can I do for you guys?
Hi. So I was hoping to cover the event today, and we have a ticket between the three of us.
Okay.
I was hoping to get in and kind of just talk to people about the event and what it represents to them.
The event is almost concluded now.
I thought it ends at 5 o'clock.
No, it's almost going to be concluded within a few minutes. Call Daniel.
The poster said till 5 p.m.
I know, it's all at the last leg of the...
Well, that would actually be great, because I would just want to be in the hallway kind of interviewing people and that sort of thing.
There's no hallway right now.
There's no hallway.
Yeah,
There's no hallway in this building. There's no hallway. So it's just like, yeah, we did have a ticket between the three of us. They didn't even want to see it. They just told us no. We were ready to go in. We had ID. We had a ticket. Didn't even want to see it.
It's all panel right now, basically, inside.
Yeah, but like, isn't there like an area in the hallway, like where you get to the bathrooms and that sort of thing? I would just kind of hang out there.
Bathrooms? Greg, you're not speaking their language here. Bathrooms. Come on, dude.
I don't know. Let me ask the organizers.
Yeah. Lee's saying the conference is over. This was at like 2 or 2. This was like 2 o'clock p.m. And the flyer said that, or the poster said that it went on till 5 p.m. And we were around for a long time after, and we know that it like ended at 5 p.m. So they were just straight up lying. Of course.
How do you want to
Yeah, please.
What's your name again?
Greg.
Greg.
White Dread says, I see the Jews are teaching the Jeets how to poorly lie. Yeah, they're not nearly as good at it as the Jews are, though. I'll give the Jews that. It's just like they didn't have to lie about any of these things. They could have just been kind of upfront, but it's like back in their country, you could just say whatever and then bully people, and that's that. And there's no kind of actual formal rules or regulations, and it's just like power trumps all. But at least the Jews here, they know how to navigate a system where there's actually rules, even if they bend it to their will.
Greg Wycliffe. Yeah, nice to meet you. What's your name?
I'm Vino.
Vino. Awesome. Are you part of the venue or part of the event?
Both.
Oh, cool. Nice.
I'm just attending the event.
Yeah. Yeah, we just had some questions about wanted to ask people national security for Canada. There
are no security experts here. It's just a generic discussion on the life in Canada.
It's just a generic discussion on life in Canada. There's no experts here. Okay. Why even talk or say these things? Like, it's just lying out of your mouth.
The terrorism impacts people.
Right. Well, it's called a national security conference, so that's just what it says on the poster. So, yeah. But I recognize that guy. Oh, there he goes. He's gone. Cool. Is it well attended? Nice.
I think that was Daniel Boardman's Iranian buddy that So these Jews, they like to parade around their Iranian friends who are like detractors from the Iranian regime. And that's their like cue to be like, bomb Iran, and, you know, just support any of Israel's aggressions against Iran. And then they say, well, I have this Iranian guy here who doesn't like them either, and he's actually for freedom and democracy. He's actually a good guy. It's all the other ones, right? That's kind of the grift that they pull here.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, well, if it's all right, it would be nice to, if we can't get in and chat with people.
We'll let you know in a few seconds, right?
And by the way, like, Israel has tons of agents within Iran, and is kind of like spearheading a lot of these groups with these renegade Iranians trying to do regime change. That's part of what's going on here. Now, we'll get into a bit later, you know, who they think is the real threat, but we'll continue this for now.
Yeah, okay, cool.
We are just monitoring everything.
Yeah, I'm just a Canadian.
We want to have a peaceful event for them, right? So
yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just a Canadian who is concerned about national security.
We are all Canadians.
Oh, really?
Okay. Were you born here?
Yeah. No, I wasn't born here.
Okay.
But we are all Canadians, and we're proud Canadians.
Okay.
Oh.
Loud and proud.
Okay. How's it going? Cool.
Loud and proud Canadians. So we have the same obligation to this society and to this mother nation as everybody else.
Sure, yeah. There's a report that came out that like the majority of Canadians, 65%, want less immigration.
No idea about that.
You don't want less immigration. You want more immigration.
I have no idea about
that. Okay.
I was with them. They can't give this.
Unfortunately, they are not allowing the rest of the week.
What's going on?
They don't want you guys to
talk to people.
I don't know.
They don't want you guys to, and they don't have they can't even finish the sentence. It's like, you're not allowed in here. You are critical. Get the fuck out. But, you know, they're not smart enough to be able to articulate in any way. But 10 Jeets standing there at attention as security. They, they can't articulate themselves properly. What do you expect? They can't even speak English properly.
Okay. What's your name?
Anand.
Nice to meet you.
Do not redeem Greg. Why would he shake their hands? How do you know which hand that he wiped with? That is not sanitary.
Are you with Canada India Foundation or
no? We're Indians. We are Indo-Canadians.
Right. Well, one of the organizers
is Indo-Canadians.
Okay, so he says we are Indians. And then he has to correct himself. We are Indo-Canadians. And then he has to repeat himself 3 times. Or however many times. Because that's a totally normal thing to do when you're an actual Canadian.
It's part of the Canada Indian...
Indo-Canadians.
Yeah. No, but one of the organizers is the Canada India Foundation.
We have no affiliation with anybody.
Oh, okay.
We have no affiliation with anybody.
Yeah. All right.
We are proud Canadians and we are Indo-Canadians.
Got it.
Genetically Indo-Canadians.
Do you believe in free speech, you guys?
It's just like 5 Indo-Canadians?
Yeah, well, another one of the organizers is called TAFSIC, and they want to monitor hate posts on the internet that criticize Israel or Zionism. And that's another one of my concerns. It's one of the organizers of this event.
We have no idea.
They say they want facial recognition on hateful posts.
Yeah, they never have no idea about it.
I hope you can understand, though, as a Canadian citizen, I'm just
we cannot comment on that.
They probably don't know any of that because they only care about themselves. They saw a benefit for their own people, and they're like, yes, we will redeem, sir.
Somebody else's point of view. Neither we can.
Sure. Well, you guys are commenting on the Canadian point of view of national security.
Yeah,
so that's kind of why I'm here, right? To ask questions about that.
We are here because of our own involvement in the Canadian security.
Well, yeah, no,
because we are Canadians.
Because you said you're with the venue, right?
No.
Oh, you're not with the venue. Okay, got it.
So you're not with the venue. You're not with the Canadian Indian Foundation. You're not with TAFSIC.
We are attending it.
Oh, you're just attendees.
A third party.
Oh, okay.
We are attending.
So they just got you to come out and tell me not to come in as just like an attendant.
Wait, no, the
Can we hear it from one of the organizers?
security detail came in and they said there's someone to talk to.
Okay.
They sent me out. I said, okay, I'll
Can we speak with one of the...
Yeah, like, we are nobody, sir, but you cannot come in. They sent us out, but we are nobody. They can't get their story straight. They're just... Dude, just go back. It's so over for you. Just go back. This is not going to be good if this escalates further.
Someone to talk to.
Okay.
They sent me out. I said, okay, I'll
Can we speak with one of the organizers? Would that be possible?
they
Are you one of the organizers?
You're
also just an attendant?
Yeah. They wouldn't want to comment on anything right now. We spoke to them. They said, no interest.
Okay. So when
He's also speaking very, like, quietly, I guess, because he doesn't want to get caught on audio recording, which we're obviously recording. That's probably one of the smarter things he did, but just something of note there.
When you said that the event's almost over, that wasn't true, because it goes till 5.
It will be done soon. So it's on the
Okay.
last flight anyway.
Okay. Oh, that's too bad. So I guess our ticket's no good then.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah. I'm sorry too. All right. Well, I guess thanks anyway. But was hoping to kind of just chat to people about national security as a Canadian citizen, but I guess that's not going to happen.
Oh, I love Greg's cheeky style over here. But just a little more context here. Apparently, this is the guy who denied us entry. This is what somebody said in the comments. I can't confirm it 100%. But you see this guy here? Looks like this guy to me. And this is the kind of googly moogly that he gets up to. Apparently now we're in the middle of a Sikh versus Punjab war. Where now the Punjab or the Sikhs are taking, or the Khalistanis are taking our side. And they're commenting positively on our content because, that's all these people care about. Their fucking foreign death view that they should take all the way fuck over there in their own desert shithole. But anyways, this is allegedly this guy. The quote says, "Be a militant, fight for your religion. Remember, you were born to be a combatant, not a human being. You are a human being by your karma, but combat is the biggest humanity you could serve the humanity." Another violent speech at the Hindu Sabna temple in Brampton. And I don't even know if any of that's true because this is from Real Punjabi Files, which is another Jeet account. So, who the fuck knows?
You have the right to do so in all circumstances, in all domiciles. Get together. United we stand, divided we fall.
Oh, he's actually speaking English. Okay.
Exercise your rights. Be a Yodha. Fight for your dharma. Remember, you are born to be a Balidani, not a human being. You are a human being by your karma, but Balidan is the biggest humanity you can ever serve to the humanity. Go for it. Har Har Mahadev! Har Har Mahadev!
It would be more funny if it wasn't so fucking sad and if these people weren't fucking here. Anyways, they denied us entry. They said it was sold out. It was sold out, sir. Here's one of the only external coverages that I saw online about this. There might have been more. Greg said, "Not to worry, Asian News International covered the National Security Conference yesterday." And, there's a 20-second clip. Yeah, that looks really sold out. I think there was at least 3 seats that we could have sat in. But I'm thinking that they shut everything down and said everything was sold out once they realized that they're not going to get any more people to show up that aren't critical, that aren't going to ask questions like the questions that we're asking. So that's why I think they said it was sold out. Yet another lie on their behalf. But whatever. Anyways, it kind of looked like shit inside. And I caught this too. I was like, what the fuck is this poster actually mean? So that is one god-awful image if I've ever seen. A hand painted like India and a hand painted like the Israeli flag interlocked with each other. We, the people in support of liberty and prosperity, believe that peace between two ancient civilizations, Iran and Israel, is attainable within our lifetime. By signing on to the following principles, we stand united in building the foundations of the future Cyrus Accords. So I looked that up briefly, and it basically just looks like, so the Jews co-opted a few Iranians who, you know, they pretend like they're all about democracy, and this is part of Israel meddling within Iranian society and enacting regime change. And what India has to do with it, I have no fucking idea. I'm guessing they are just redeeming a gift card from the Jews in Israel. But either way, I don't like it and I don't want it here. So I want to take a quick break for a second. I'll play a song. And then when we get back, I want to show you guys some exclusive footage that hasn't been released yet. And it was between me, Greg, and Lee. And it was us all interviewing the director of TAFSIC. So the Jewish organization that helped organize it. Their director came out and he confronted us. And he took the bullet, metaphorically, in order to talk to us and to take attention from us interviewing a bunch of other people from outside of the venue. So we'll get into that. There was about 30-minute. It was about a 30-minute long interview, and there was a lot of good stuff in it. And there was a couple other good interviews. And I would assume that Greg Wycliffe is probably going to post those interviews soon. There's definitely some good stuff in there, but I'll post like an exclusive 5-minute clip here that we could watch tonight. Well, I'm just going to play a song and then have a little break, and then we'll get right back to it. Alright, I'll see you guys back in a second.
Against the mold, without a doubt, singled out the only way I do. Cause I wanna be the minority. I don't need your authority. Down with the moral majority. Cause I wanna be the minority. Stepped out of the line, like a ship runs from the herd, marching out of time. My love be now, the only way I know. One light, one mind, flashing in the dark, blinded by the silence of 1,000 broken hearts. For crying out loud, she screamed unto me, afraid for all, fuck 'em all. You are your side, cause I wanna be the minority. I don't need your authority. Down with the moral majority, cause I
And we're back. Alright, I'm just gonna catch up to any of the chats or super chats here. Oh, we got a few. Alright, Nigel McDougall says $3 to support the right for ragheads to play hockey, football, and ride motorcycles without having to wear a helmet. No, I 100% support that. I am all for personal freedom, buddy. So, hey, if you guys want to do that, at least you can reap your fair share of damage that you cause with all the road accidents that happen. At least you could reap some of what you sow if you don't wear a helmet doing that. So, bloody fuck you, sir. You could not wear the helmet. It is your right as Freedom Canadian. Do redeem Freedom card, sir. So thank you very much, Nigel. And I want to give a special shout out to Nigel. This is a special shirt here. Let's get this mic out of the way that he did give me. Well, hold on. That he did give me while I was out there in BC. He's an awesome dude. I was very glad to meet him and some friends over there. And I want to show you a nice picture that we took together. Well, we didn't exactly take this picture together. Somebody else took it of us. Hold on, I had it up here. There we go. Apparently, me and Nigel McDougall are two of the top 6 notable members of Diagolon, Canada's homegrown white nationalist network. And I want to give Nigel an applause. And you know what? I'll give myself an applause and maybe a pat on the back. Now, I don't have a very big social media following, so I don't know why they included me in the top 6 notable members. It seems kind of weird. Like, there's definitely people with bigger followings and bigger social media accounts than me, but apparently I've been doing a great job. That they felt the need to add me into this report that they're going to use to hand around to politicians so they could seethe and read in Parliament about the dangers of Diagolon. And this is what they said about me in particular. Daniel Slino is a live streamer connected to Diagolon and its predecessor network, the Plaid Army. Like many of the other streamers, he claims most of his content is a type of comedy, though he will routinely dive into what he refers to as pro-white political concepts and movements. Well, how dare he be pro-white? Should he be anti-white? Should he be neutral white? Like, he doesn't care? He doesn't care if white people go extinct? I guess it's a national security threat. I should be talked about in this conference, maybe, if I'm pro-white. It goes on to say, unlike the other creators, Slino has performed some stand-up. Okay, so they set me aside from the other people and said, oh, he's actually a comedian. Well, I think that's doing the other guys a disservice because they were fantastic comedians and they were natural stand-ups, even though they hadn't done it before when the other guys like Jeremy, Derek, and Ferry performed live. So, yes, I have performed some stand-up hundreds of times in my life. I would say that, I've done my fair share. In different settings, too. Like in professional, in many amateur settings, in high-stakes Diagolon settings, like in the Rage Tour, where I got to do a presentation with a whole projector slideshow. So, yeah, I've had my fair share. It says, he frequently discusses far-right political movements as well as topics relating to neo-Nazism and the Jewish question. And then it has, this report is super-duper official because it has a footnote. And if you go to the footnote, guess where it goes to. It's definitely like a top scholarly source about how I talk about the Jewish question. And where does it go to? It goes to none other than their own author, Peter Smith, talking about me in another article that they wrote 3 or 4 years ago, where they say that I like talking about the Jewish question, and then they pretend like that means that I want to kill all Jews somehow, even though that's not anything that I've ever said in my lifetime. But that's what the footnote leads to, and it leads to some diatribe. If you look in the section in this article, in this PDF, I've made PDF status, right? It says that it implies that I want to kill all Jews, even though that's not anything that I've ever said. But I don't know, this is how these people work. They don't create anything. They don't go on comedy tours across the nation and sell them out and make friends along the way and make movies out of it. No, they just spend millions of your taxpayers' millions of your taxpayers' dollars to write these gay little reports and spy on you and try and get you thrown in jail and your jobs taken away, your livelihoods taken away. This is all they do. These are not creative people. And I'm glad to be beside Nigel McDougall there. And I do think he is a notable member. Well, let me just read what it says about him, because it's pretty funny as well. It says Nigel McDougall is a neo-Nazi, and they've got a specific footnote for that too. I could only imagine what it fucking says in there. And perhaps best described as a fitness influencer within the Diagolon community. Okay, maybe they picked him because he's absolutely jacked. Under the name Arian Goggins, sometimes stylized as Anthony Ryan Goggins, in case you got that wrong, in case it needed to be clarified, he posts racist, anti-Semitic, and neo-Nazi content, with another footnote, alongside videos of him and others working out. One of his several tattoos includes the words "White Pride" tattooed on his leg. Okay, so they're body shaming you, bro. They're inspecting your body for any pro-white blemishes that you may have on your body, any sense of pride that you may have stored within you. They're going to detect it, and they're going to punish you for it. It is not known when he first came to Diagolon, but he initially gained attention in the community for his exercise routine of running the stairs of his apartment building in a weighted vest. So, I couldn't be posted beside a more reputable human being right there. So thank you, Anti-Hate. Weight shaming, yeah. Dia Goyam says, imagine if we all went to India and told the Indians, we are Indian. We are Canadian Indian. We are Oh, looks like we got some more super chats here. Damn. Droff Work, good to see you again, man. He says, hey, Edgy, it was great to meet you, Lee, in the SS. Well, it was great to meet you too, man. Appreciate all you guys. You guys have an excellent crew over there. I'll say that. Jenstein says Nigel is gay. All right, thank you. Apparently Clyde Do Something is streaming right now, and apparently he was coping pretty hard about everything that was going on. I guess that's gonna have to be for another stream in the future. Here, let me see if he's still going.
Until our immigration policy changed and allowed for all this like third world importation stuff.
Who's this guy?
Yeah. That really is what it comes down to.
Yeah, we had a family friend growing up that was a doctor.
Moose fills in for Marty. Well, anyways, Clyde doesn't really come up much more in this. He called white people who criticized his participation in this event, he called them inbred. If you remember Clyde Do Something, he has like a couple 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. He only became politically relevant after the Freedom Convoy, and he's just like a master class in how to just blindly spout any of the freedom rhetoric while not knowing at all what you're talking about. Maybe he does know what he's talking about. He's just he's just another one of these liberals who the jab was too much for him and some of the woke stuff was too much for him, but he's just as repulsed by people actually spouting facts and telling harsh truths about the reality of Canada and our demographic destiny if we don't do something about it. But I remember that he used to be allied with Diagolon. He used to come on Diagolon streams until he found out that we were actually supporting white people against the invasion, against the demographic displacement that we're facing. And he found that absolutely sickening and cried like a little bitch, and then cried like even more of a little bitch when people responded to his cuckery. And I think he's just basically trying to avoid Diagolon and avoid the greater alt-right white nationalist sphere as a whole. But if he's going and participating in these events, that's like a green light for people to just zone in on him and make him an example of what you don't want to be, right? We need to put pressure on these people who watch him, and, you know, maybe they're just entering into the sphere, and we need to turn them to the truth before they get bored of watching a guy like him and think that there's nothing to politics. We need to show people that there's something more going on here. Well, anyways, let's get into that video that I promised you guys. This is about 5 minutes of me and Greg and Lee interacting with Amir Epstein, the director of TAFSIC.
So the
Hold on. So this was interesting. I have to say, Greg is one of the best at doing these public interviews and these confrontations. He's really good at it as a whole. Like, I remember watching him during the Freedom Convoy, and he got a lot of good experience doing that. And he's just a very personal, friendly guy. And that's kind of his style. So over here, he's almost not making friends with this guy, but he's developing a rapport. And I respect what he's doing here. He's playing the friendly game. It's kind of almost like good cop, bad cop, because then there's me, who's more hyper-focused on some specific issues, and I want to nail him on where I see him just using totally flawed and subversive logic, so I want to zone in on him with that. And I really want to catch him and make him explain himself. And then, when it comes to good cop, medium cop, bad cop would probably be Lee here. Because Lee is not taking any prisoners. She does not want to be friendly with this guy, and I could understand why. In fact, after he brought us out a bunch of water, a bunch of cups of water, okay, so there's a bit more context. Basically, we were denied entry, and then eventually this guy came out and said, "Why don't you guys come in? You guys are just filming outside. Come in." And then we're like, "Well, we were denied entry." And then he goes, "Okay, well, let me see if I could get you in." He pretended like we were going to get let in. And then he comes back out a few minutes later, and he's like, "Oh, no, you guys can't come in." But he's literally the organizer of the event. He's the director of TAFSIC. So he came back out and told us we couldn't come in after being like, what are you guys complaining about? Or like, why don't you come in and see what it's all about? So he's playing the buddy guy. As you'll see a bit later, like I said about Lee, she did a great job at triggering these guys, and this guy had to intervene. But we'll show that clip at the end. We'll save that for the end because it's a good way to finish this whole stream off. And for now, we'll just watch this. This is mostly just me and Greg talking to him.
So the purpose of that is to be able to identify anybody who's committing a crime. To report them to police. That's
okay, yeah. So in this clip, Greg has confronted him about how on their website. Let me just pull that up quickly, just for some context. Yeah, so this is on like the front page of TAF6's website. It says, Threat Watch, directive against violence, intimidation, and discrimination. Lots of people are spreading lots of hate through social media. So they have some very professional copywriter here as well. We're fighting online Jew hatred with a revolutionary online solution. Report a dangerous post or individual. Report hateful incidents, posts, and people on our website. Identify with facial recognition technology. Track people's posts and gauge radicalization. So this is what we were confronting him about how they want people to report hateful shit or whatever and identify people with facial recognition. So this is his response.
So the purpose of that is to be able to identify anybody who's committing a crime. To report them to police. That's the purpose of it, because the police are saying we see these guys committing offenses, whether it's whatever it is, violence, and they're wearing masks. We can't see who they are. It's against the law. You can't walk around into a bank with a mask. I'm sorry. Like, maybe it's okay in your little world, but not in Canada. So we're trying to assist the police if, first of all, we don't have the technology yet, but if we did, let's say we did have it, the idea is to assist the police so they can find people who are committing crimes easier.
Well, I saw one of the speakers in there, Daniel Boardman, on Twitter before, saying that some participants in one of these protests are inciting genocide, which has, I believe, you could be in jail for up to 5 years, and even at one point they were trying to make it life imprisonment. And the Liberal government for one. Okay. But it's still a law.
Like hate speech laws. Okay.
Yeah, hate speech laws.
Okay, yeah.
So as you can see here, I'm not as adept as Greg is. I'm still learning. I'm still shadowing him. But you gotta practice, like with these live streams, to be able to speak on the cuff and to be able to argue your points, because I'm getting kind of tripped up, and he's giving me the time of day trying to hear my point. And he's taking every little thing I say and kind of going, oh, who said that? Oh, the Liberals? Like, he's taking any little dead air that he can in order to detract, in order to deflect, to potentially make an exit from this conversation if it gets somewhere that he doesn't like. And it's just something that you got to learn with experience, and you got to actually go and do these things in person, because it's one thing even to just say it by myself here online, but it's another thing to go out and do it in person. But I think my point stands all throughout here, and he's just trying to deflect. He's trying to get away from the point that I'm making.
Okay.
But it's still a law.
Like hate speech laws. Okay.
Yeah, hate speech laws.
Okay, yeah.
And what the person was doing was wearing a scarf for a group that he thought was a terrorist group. Okay. Whether it was or not.
Was it actual speech of genocide, or was it just...
No. Oh. It was because they were the thing that they were wearing on their head.
Question for you.
Is that
saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free? Do you think that's like a criminal speech? No, I think it is a call to destroy a country. But
So my point was, he's trying to say that they're only using facial recognition in order to stop crimes, or sorry, that they want to use facial recognition in the future. That's what they're trying to develop in order to put people in jail for crimes they've committed. But I'm saying that him and his Jew buddies, like Daniel Boardman, who's speaking at the event, I've seen him on Twitter and in real life videos that he posted himself on Twitter of him freaking out, saying that people were inciting genocide because they wore like a Hamas or a pro-Palestinian scarf or something. That was my point there. And yeah, that could technically be against the law. And that was my point, is that you want to put people in jail for those kinds of things. And I was getting to the point that hate speech is literally like in the criminal code. So he's trying to, as you're going to see here in a bit, he's trying to say that he wants people to report hate to his website, and that they also want to use facial recognition to identify criminals. Well, hate speech and hate that is getting reported could potentially be criminal, so it's just like, you're just trying to pull the wool over our eyes here. That was my main point. Because he's also pretending that he's for free speech. We'll continue here, and you can see some more context.
I'm not sure that's criminal.
So like, would that get reported in TAPSIC, for example?
No. So you have white supremacists, Nazis. Let's just use Nazis as an example. Anti-Semitism. What is the anti-Semitism rooted in? It's rooted in blood libels that the Jews control this, and the Jews are trying to do this, and all that kind of stuff leads towards hatred towards Jews. Hold on.
So he's saying he's explaining right-wing anti-Semitism, which is the Nazis, which is that Jews do this, Jews do that, Jews control this. Well, what if it was true? So that's all just a blood libel, and anyone who says that is a Nazi, and that's right-wing anti-Semitism / Jew hatred? Well, what if they actually did all those things? You can't just call that Jew hatred and say that it's irrelevant and not true. You have to actually argue those things and prove that they're not true. And if someone else proves that they are true, then are you going to take any accountability? Of course you're not. So they just use labels in order to pretend like they've done nothing wrong. Now, this is the essence of the Jewish question, that I was targeted for by anti-hate, saying that means that I want to kill all Jews or something insane like that. No, I was explaining that Jews have an antagonistic relationship with Gentiles all throughout the last thousands of years that we've existed together.
That's what Zionism is? No, that's what the far right Zionism is? Leads towards hatred towards Jews. Hold on, that's what Zionism is? No, that's what the far right. When I say far right, I'm talking about the Nazis. As an example. So anti-Semitism is what the Nazis is Jew hatred. Anti-Zionism is the far left, the Marxists, the Islamists, the communists. They use anti-Zionism to hate Jews. If I'm critical of Bibi Netanyahu's projects...
Yeah, so anybody who doesn't like Jews is either left-wing or right-wing anti-Semite. They just got everything covered, right?
If I'm critical of Bibi Netanyahu's projects to establish greater Israel, does that make me anti-Zionist? Of course not, that's ridiculous. Okay. You're allowed to oppose Israel. It's a democratic country. You're supposed to. If you're not allowed to oppose a country, then you're living in a country that is completely oppressive. Yeah. So Israel's a democracy. I know. Listen, half of the Jews in Israel are protesting against Bibi right now. He's not very popular.
Yeah, but as a Canadian who's concerned about this stuff,
yes.
Whenever I do,
why would you touch him?
Israel,
you're allowed to criticize Israel.
Yeah, but then I get called a Hamas supporter, and then I get framed as a terrorist.
But how can I control?
Sometimes, no offense, sometimes Zionists can be very inflammatory and very unfair with the way that they mischaracterize their debate or political opponents.
Fair.
And I know you're an organization that claims to do all this good stuff, but I'm kind of concerned. Is it going to be done in good faith, or are you going to try to intimidate people who even get too close to the line of criticizing?
There's no good faith here. There's no good faith.
I understand you're all free speech.
Absolutely.
But as someone who's been characterized as a terrorist for criticizing Netanyahu and his administration,
I can give you a million examples of people.
Okay, so there's a lot to go over there. I don't like the framing of, am I going to get persecuted because I criticized Bibi Netanyahu? That puts it into his frame, because he's going to easily be able to straw man that argument and be like, oh, well, half of Israelis don't support Bibi Netanyahu. The point is not Bibi Netanyahu or Israel. It's Jewish supremacy It's the fact that they use Jewish influence and Jewish supremacy to lord power over other people, and especially us here in the host nation. So I understand why he may have went down that mode of thought and that argument, but I think that kind of put it into this guy's frame over here. Because, of course, he could easily just deflect that and be like, oh, is that what the issue is here? Pff, you have nothing to worry about. And then he could go on his own diatribe.
Saying stupid things from all over. Every group and political party is
but your organization is going to take some of those things and say it's Jew hatred and then facially recognize them.
No, that's, again, you weren't listening. The facial recognition is specific to the people who are committing crimes and
those things and say it's Jew hatred and then facially recognize them.
It was still a good line of questioning, though, because you never know what they're going to say about it. Because you got to catch them on something. You got to, bring something to their face that they don't want to admit. And if you were to have freaked out over that, over people questioning Israel's policy and Bibi Netanyahu, then he would have really been in trouble. But I feel like this guy has at least decent media training that he knows better than to spark out in this kind of situation. He actually did a decent job, probably better than I would have thought that these guys could handle in this situation. But I think that's even more pernicious, though, because this guy could pretend like he's the friend of a lot of people, a lot of conservative influencers, when really he has his own people's interests in mind and not ours.
People saying stupid things from all over. Every group and political party is
but your organization is going to take some of those things and say it's Jew hatred and then facially recognize them.
No, that's, again, you weren't listening. The facial recognition is specific to the people who are committing crimes and hiding their faces. That's all that's
it says hate posts.
Okay, so here he makes the distinction.
That's not that's different than you're confusing two things. There's facial recognition, which doesn't exist yet.
Those are separate goals.
Well, actually, Section 319 has incitement to hatred as illegal, but that is defined as intense disdain or dislike, or something along those lines. So it's something that's inherently subjective. And you're saying that anti-Zionism is Jew hatred. And incitement to hatred is a criminal offense technically in Canada. So you are technically cataloging crimes based on whether the government wants to interpret it as that or not. That is up to interpretation from the government. So that could very well likely get people in jail with facial recognition.
Well, no, the facial
Spit it out, Junior. Well, I had an excellent point there, I gotta say. He's saying that these two things here on his website, we want people to report hateful incidents, posts, and people on our website, and he says that, everything is Jew hatred, and elsewhere on their social media and website, it says that anti-Zionism is Jew hatred. So all these things, everything is Jew hatred, right? So they want to report all these hateful incidents, posts, and people on our website. So even if it's not criminal, they're still going to report us. And then they're going to identify people with facial recognition technology. Well, he's saying, no, we're not going to do that to people who are already reporting profiling on our website and already showing their faces to everywhere, so we could get them fired from any job that they have, so that we could get them denied access to any institutions. We could take away their livelihood. No, that's a separate thing. We're only going to use the facial recognition technology, which, we only want it. We don't even have it yet. What are you even talking about, Goy? No, we don't have it yet, but we would only use it for criminals. But I was saying, incitement to hatred is a criminal offense. Now, whether there's a lot of people being actually charged with that yet, there's definitely a few people. In fact, I think I saw somebody in the chat. Canadian Girl Rumble, I believe, has been charged with literally hate speech. Just saying mean words to a bunch of minorities here in Canada. So, or are they going to use facial recognition technology to find her? just for speaking words, yeah, you can get charged with hate speech. And that's my point, is like hate is technically illegal. And it's up to the whatever government is in power, liberal and or conservative, they both support these hate speech charges within the criminal code. They could use that against you. Whether it's reporting, whether it's identifying you with facial recognition in a database, tracking people's posts, engaging their radicalization to see if you're predisposed to pre-crime. They're going to do all these things, and this guy's playing buddy-buddy with us here, pretending like he's not.
First of all, again, it doesn't exist with us.
But that's a criminal thing, so it's for crimes, right?
No, but you're thinking that the purpose of facial recognition is if someone says free Palestine, we know who you are.
No, I don't care if someone says free Palestine. I care if somebody says that Jews did 9/11, that maybe something controversial about the Holocaust that is literally illegal to say in Canada. You can't deny, downplay, or condone the Holocaust here in Canada. Did you hear that? Downplay? You can't even downplay. What does that even mean? It's completely subjective, open to interpretation. Yet this guy's going to pretend that he's not going to be using his reporting mechanism to report and then use facial, whatever things that these guys have in their means to get people charged for, whether it's criticizing Jews, what they call denying the Holocaust, which is actually illegal, and you could spend up to 2 years in jail for saying something in history didn't happen the way that he thinks that it happened. It doesn't have anything to do with what you may do in the future. It's all about what you profess to have happened in the past. It literally makes no sense if you're going to say that this isn't a free speech issue.
And somehow that's going to be incitement of hatred. That's a very far stretch. I can't imagine anybody would even try to report that. I'm talking about crimes. Laws that we have in this country, our federal criminal code that are encoded in there. If you're going to go and smash a police car and you're wearing something on your face and they don't know who you are, we'd love to be able to assist. If you're against that, that's your prerogative. Again, freedom of expression. But for me, I'd like for criminals to be arrested.
Yeah, and it should be a crime to be this subversive in Canada. Oh no, I think I did an alright job. I kind of stumbled over it a bit, and he took some liberties with that, but I think I got him on that one. He really didn't have any response. He didn't address my issues. He really can't. I'm seeing a couple more super chats. Nigel McDougal says, Clyde Jew something. That's pretty good. Maybe I saw Rob Primo said Clyde do some sing. So maybe Clyde Jew some sing would be the way that we bring it all home. Oh, and Jenstein says Netanyahu means from God. Cut the guy a break. No Jew talk, no pointing. Okay, I don't think anyone's going to get that one. But I appreciate the support in the super chat. Buddy, maybe next time we'll get those rules right, if you know what I mean. All right. I have one more clip that I want to show you, and I think it'll be a good way to wrap this stream up. This was Lee's confrontation with this Amir Epstein. The guy's name is fucking Epstein, by the way. This definitely looks like an Epstein to me. This has pure Epstein. Oh, sorry, you're not seeing this. This guy has pure Epstein physiognomy. Like, I feel like this is like Epstein. This more like Weinstein. Like, he looks like Harvey Weinstein trying to convince some young Hollywood starlet that she needs to blow him in order to get the role in the next movie or whatever. But yeah, Epstein, a fitting name, I guess. He's trying to whore out all these influencers for the Israeli cause. What the? All right. There we go. Okay. Another funny thing about that interview, too, with this guy, before I play this clip, I'm just going to get a good, nice shot of him, as he's lurching towards my girlfriend with an aggressive Jeep behind him. And then there's this guy in the background. No comment, but he kept on following us around. And, yeah, another piece of context is we were going around the building interviewing people, and we interviewed, definitely, it was basically all Jewish people that we interviewed. And, we could have pressed them a bit harder, but at least one of the couples were really old, and we didn't want to give them a heart attack by, pressing them too hard with some controversial issues that they're not ready to face. And we didn't want to blow our cover either. But it seems like they were sending out people to waste our time and talk to us and try to convince us to talk to them without filming them as well. There was a lot of time wasters. I think this guy was the ultimate time waster. He tried to take as much of our time as possible interviewing him so he could take all the press, all the heat. And this guy was just following him, the guy that's behind him, and I don't know what his purpose was. I remember at one point, Greg was just when he was talking about the facial recognition, he's like, "Do you know what Palantir is?" And then the guy's like, "No." And then the guy behind him was like, "No," looked towards him and said, "No, we don't know what Palantir is," or something, as if he's confirming that, like he's his lawyer. "No, we don't talk about Palantir. No, we don't know. You say you don't know." It was like, okay. I don't know what the point of this guy is, but it's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird way to interact with people, but whatever. Another thing this guy kept saying is "Oh, what, you don't know about the IRGC? You didn't know that there's 700 Iranian spies all throughout Canada infiltrating all our institutions? Oh, you don't know about all the billions of Qatari money?" When I went to this rally, when I I walked around the building, I was just seeing Iranian spies everywhere. I was seeing the IRGC was just hiding in the bushes with binoculars. I think I saw a Qatari in a tree across the street. I think I saw a few Qataris with snipers and binoculars on a building, on a rooftop, across a few blocks away. No, a Qatari has never tried to take away my free speech to the point where they're instituting laws against being able to speak freely about historical events or being able to criticize people. Now, I know there's they try to push through Islamophobia laws, and all these different minority groups work together. But let's be real. The one group that has the most power to push through censorship laws, and they have pushed through censorship laws in pretty much every Western country. In fact, I think it's now reaching 20 countries where it's illegal to question the Holocaust. And do you think that was Qataris? Do you think that was Iranians? Was that the IRGC? No, it's not Iranians. It's the IRGC. They're the CCP of Iran. Trust me, Goy. They're the worst. They're going to kill you all. They're going to bomb you. They're going to turn you into Sharia. Your women's will be covered in burqas. It's going to be terrible. They're not going to do OnlyFans anymore. It'll be another shower. No. If somebody... when you hear a conservative influencer talk about Qatar or the IRGC or 700 Iranian spies, yeah, maybe there are those there, but the Jewish spies hide in plain sight. The Jewish spies hide in plain sight, like this guy over here, and they've also infiltrated all of our institutions, and they shape the way we're even allowed to speak. So, yeah, tell me again about the Iranians, about the IRGC, and the super secret Qataris and all their money. No, it's probably... Oh, he told us that that Iran is funding Antifa and is burning all the churches down. Yeah, you couldn't make this up. I mean, I'd like to see some evidence of that. And Greg was just straight up like, wasn't that like Antifa and like, disgruntled indigenous people teamed up with like other leftists in Antifa? But he seems to think Iran was funding that all. But as we all know, Antifa is largely a Jewish endeavor. It's funded by Jewish billionaires like George Soros. We know this. It's ridiculous that he thinks he could pull the wool over our eyes and be buddy about it. And even then, the only reason why like there's an exodus, for lack of a better term, but it's actually a very fitting term, an exodus, like the book of Exodus, from the left to the right after October 7th, because now they realize that their leftist mass immigration golem has turned against them, and that people are no longer, they're not hiding as in plain. They're not as good as hiding as they were before, and people are getting fed up with them mass murdering Palestinians. So they made an exodus to the right, and they're now in full co-opt mode against conservatives in the right wing. Trust me, we're on your side. Well, anyways, this is Lee asking this guy why he didn't let us in, and then the security guard starts freaking out at her.
Pardon?
We allowed in?
Yep.
Yep.
We were denied entry. When we came here at 2 o'clock, we were told that the event was over.
Yeah, the guy's like, the audio is a bit bad, but I'll just let it play out. I think you could hear it if you turn it up enough.
2 o'clock, we were told that the event was over.
Yeah.
It's clearly blatant that I'm recording.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks for your input from the peanut gallery. You were just looking for an excuse.
Oh, what a scene. Oh, just that guy. I don't know what upsets me more is this aggressive, uppity security guard Jeet, who I'm sure back in his country, he thinks it's okay, just throw people out and do whatever you want. But even this guy knows that that's bad PR. But even the sight of him walking towards her is kind of creepy. But anyways, this is my final thought of the night.
I found it funny that as we were trying to get into the event, the one guy who was guarding the door, he kept saying, "We're Indo-Canadians, we're Indo-Canadians," and he kept repeating that over and over again. And that was not relevant to what we were talking about at all, trying to get in.
Right.
But either ways, if they could deny us entry to their event, then I say that we should create our own Euro-Canadian lobby, and we should hold our own United Against Extremism conference that actually attends to our interests.
And there you have it. And I stand by that. And I think it was great that everyone realized what they were doing online, what these two organizations were doing in this gay little conference that they were holding, and they stood up against it, and they ratioed them. They didn't let them get away with it online, but it took it an extra step further when us three actually showed up. Oh, sorry, there was another person too. Shoutouts to Bruce, true patriot over there. He was there too, and it was great to meet him. But yeah, we actually showed up there, and we put them to task, and it set the propaganda against them to another level, where now they're gonna think twice before they have that much chutzpah, and they get so bold to just blatantly try to subvert our democracy, as they were calling it. Yeah, I heard a lot of talk about our democracy. which goes to show just how faking gay this democracy actually is. But anyways, showing up there is one thing, and getting in their faces, holding them accountable, showing the world what they're doing and how they act. But then the next best thing, after that, the next step, is to actually make our own conferences where we could deny them entry, and we could talk about issues that mean a lot to us, that are in our own interests, kind of like how I showed you that Remigration summit before, with all these different heads of organizations that are all about remigration all throughout Europe and America. Those are perfect examples. Second Sons, I could see them doing something like that in the future. The Diagolon Road Rage Terror Tour movie. Us having our own events where we can mix comedy and nationalism, that's another fantastic example of things that we can do. And we need to start doing these things more and more, getting together. You know, you guys spend all this time online together. We enjoy this time we have together online, but imagine us together in person, being twice, 2, 3, 4 times as effective, working together and actually meeting face to face and becoming friends. Our wives and children's becoming friends with each other, and working towards a much more solid community that they can't take down and that will win going forward into the future. I've been Edgy D. Thank you for listening to me tonight. I'll see my way out now. No, but thank you guys for coming out here tonight. It was a great time streaming tonight. I had a lot of fun tonight. It's good to see you guys all back again. Getting a bit tired now. People throwing up some slashes in the chat. It was great to see you all. 07s to everybody. And you know what? I'll do my best to make it back here again next week, probably around the same time. Wednesday night around 9 or 10 p.m. And then I'll do my best to make it out again the week after that. And we'll go forward into the future together. So thanks everybody for coming out tonight. Cheers everybody, and thanks to everybody who supported and super chatted. That makes it a lot more feasible for me, because you know it's not easy doing this kind of thing. They really try to choke in on you and try to cancel out job opportunities and other things like that. So all your support means the world to me. So thank you, Dr. Jenstein, of course, Dia Goyam, Al Stern, Nigel, Draw Fork, Tarp Soft. I really appreciate it. I hope I didn't miss anybody there, but thank you so much. Cheers, everybody. Oh, wait, no, I need to play you guys out on something. Hold on. All right, take it easy, everyone.
It's really elementary, the industrial revolution. has flipped the bitch on evolution. The benevolent and wise are being promoted ostracized. What a bummer. The world keeps getting dumber. Insensitivity is standard, and faith is being fancied over reason. Darwin's rolling over in his coffin. The fittest are surviving much less often. Now everything seems to be reversing, and it's worsening. Someone flopped a steamer in the gene pool. Now angry mob mentality is no longer the exception, it's the rule. And I'm starting to feel a lot like Charlton Heston, stranded on a private planet. Apes and orangutans and ran into the ground, with generals and the armies that obeyed them. Followers following fables, philosophies that enable them to rule without regard. There's no point for democracy when ignorance is celebrated. Political scientists get the same one vote as some monkeys are inbred. Majority rule don't work in mental institutions. Sometimes the smallest, softest voice carries the brand. Big dissolution. What are we left with? A nation of God-fearing, pregnant nationalists who feel it's their duty to populate the homeland. Pass on traditions, how to get ahead religions, and prosperity via simpleton culture. The idiots are taking over. 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 The idiots are taking over.